50 years ago today, I attended Easter Sunday Mass at the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris. And when I was there, the priest proclaimed in this 800-year-old cathedral built for the glory of God, he proclaimed, "Le Seigneur est ressuscité." The Lord is risen. And it resonated into this huge ceiling and throughout the building. The Lord is risen. Now imagine what that must have been like to be Mary Magdalene, to go with Mary, the mother of James, to the tomb, to find the stone rolled away, and to find an angel who looked, as it says, like lightning, which I can only expect might be meaning very bright and white, like lightning, and the angel saying, "He is not here, he is risen. Go tell the others." Now, in one of the versions, she goes and tells the others, and they don't believe her. Haven't heard that before. But they run back and they find, yes, there's, the cloths that he was wrapped in, and he's not there. He's not there. And then he actually appears to Mary, he appears to the disciples, and he appears in physical form. They can touch his wounds. So he's not just coming back as spirit, he's coming back in the body. So what do you experience? Amazement, disbelief, incredulity. How could this be happening? Something entirely out of the realm of our understanding. A realization of something greater, a power greater than we had imagined, being made manifest by a beloved teacher who said, "Greater things than these shall ye do." But how do we do them? We don't do them by worshiping Jesus. We said that in this philosophy, we say that Jesus is the great example, not the great exception. He was trying to teach us a way of life, a way of living, a way of being, that he said, if you do this, life on this planet will change. He brought a different energy, a different vibration to the planet. And that's why he became what is called the Christ. Now, the Christ that wasn't his last name. It is an honorific that comes when usually in the Old Testament, a prophet gets told by God to go anoint someone and make them the king. So it means the anointed one, the one who has been given authority by God. So the thing about it now is that we are all anointed. We are all, as the song just said, we are all the presence of God on earth. That is our role, to be the eyes, the ears, the hands, the feet of goodness, expressing, being made manifest. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, "Each partakes of the Christ nature to the degree that the Christ is revealed through them, and to that degree we become the Christ." And he said, becoming the Christ means to turn within to the presence of the divine that exists within us, because we are all coming from that same source, returning to that same source. And so we connect with that source of the universe itself. We connect with the infinite possibility. And as Holmes said, we declare our word to be the presence, the power, and the activity of this one. Holmes says, right here, through our own nature, is the gateway and the path that leads to illumination, to realization, to inspiration, to the intuitive perception of everything. So we get the information through our intuition, through that inner sense of knowing something. We don't have to know why we know it, but we just know it. It comes to us through that intuitive sense. And anybody here ever ignored their intuition and then said, I should have listened? You know, I did that yesterday. I was like looking at this hotel room that I'd spent the night in saying, I'm leaving something. I wonder what it is. I can't see anything. I left something in the fridge, the leftovers of my steak with sauce béarnaise. Damn. Darn. But in the Bible, it says, Luke says, neither shall they say, lo here or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. The kingdom of God is within you. And the Gospel of Thomas says, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Let me say that again. There's a little conversation going on over here. It might have been a little distracting. Okay. And what I love about Thomas is I see a couple of our people here wearing Indian-style blouses, and he went to India. There's actually a St. Thomas Mountain in India. So there's a whole Christian community founded by Thomas. But anyway, I digress. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. That is pretty heavy duty. It says, okay, what is within me? What is within me? What wants to be expressed? What is my heart's desire? What is calling me in this moment to do, to be, to know? So we're called to know that there is a power and a presence in this material world that is accessible to us and that is beyond what we have seen before, what is beyond what we have experienced. And the thing is, what we know is that the thing that gets us in trouble is separation, thinking that we're separate from God and from one another. There is no spiritual and material world. They're connected. It's all in spirit. There is no human and divine up there. No, the human and the divine are one. That was what Christ called us to know, called us to realize, called us to experience through our practices, through being like he was, a healing presence, being a presence of love and generosity, being a presence of inclusion and acceptance. And in order to do that, we have to look beyond appearances, because we have some appearances that don't look too divine. And so we think of those appearances that somehow strike us as less than divine and realize, that presence of the divine is absolutely there. It's absolutely in there. Can I see with new eyes? Who was it who said the journey of discovery lies not with traveling to new places, but to seeing with new eyes? And so we're invited to see with new eyes, see the divine presence in all of us. We're celebrating Passover right now, and of course Passover was what the Last Supper, that Passover Seder was the Last Supper. So when we see that picture of the Last Supper, they were celebrating a Seder, and the Seder is celebrating the story of how Moses brought the people of Israel out of bondage and slavery in Egypt into the Promised Land. The story of Christ is a story of bringing us out of being oppressed and suppressed and in the bondage of our own thinking into a realm of infinite possibility, into a realm of realizing that we are more than this. We are able to come out of our fear and into the light of divine expression, of giving our gifts, because everybody is unique. Everyone has a gift to give. And if we give it, then we are fulfilled, then we are contented. It says in the Bible, "Fear not, for it is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." And we're not talking about a kingdom of crowns and gold and all of that kind of stuff. We're talking about a kingdom of compassion, kingdom of contentment, a kingdom of fulfillment that we can all experience. We always like to bring a little science into the picture here, because science, we've gotten into the habit of saying, well, I have to look at the science in order to really see if this is true. And there was a 75-year-long study of 456 poor men growing up in Boston from 1939 to 2014. So we're talking about generations of researchers involved in this Harvard study. And the other study, that was called the Grant Study, and there was another study of 268 male graduates from Harvard graduating classes from 1939 to 1944. So they followed these men. They took surveys, they had blood tests. When brain scans became available, they did brain scans. And what they have found is, according to the director of the Harvard study of adult development, one thing surpasses all the rest in terms of importance. The clearest message that we get from this 75-year study is this: good relationships keep us healthier and happier, period. Good relationships, not our success in business, not our 401k, not our, whatever. It's all about relationship. Basically, this is in the study, the biggest predictor of your happiness and fulfillment overall in life is basically love. And it's not about, it says, it's not just the number of friends you have. It's not whether you're in a committed relationship. It's the quality of your close relationships that matters. It's the quality of your close relationships that matters. So I spent Friday night, once a year I get together with an old college roommate. We've known each other actually since, I guess I was 13 and she was 12. And because we met up at Lake Tahoe, she used to live there, and we were there on vacation. That's where I met her. And then we ended up being college roommates at Berkeley in 1969 and 70. And she recently, so we get together once a year and catch up and connect. And the thing is, it's sort of like, no matter what we've done or where we've been or whatever, when we connect, that connection is always deep, and the connection is always real, and the connection is always one of love and acceptance. And so she, this last year, lost her husband. And so she was telling me about the day he passed, and she said she had given him his morphine shot, and she said to him, "Are you afraid?" And he said, "No." She said, "Well, you could go to the light." And he said, "I am not going to the light. I'm going to the mountains, and I'm bringing hay." And she said, "You're bringing hay?" And he said, yes, because I know when you come, you're bringing the horses. And she said, I'm not coming right away. And he said, it's okay, I'll wait. And those were the last words he ever said. That is, a deep friendship, a deep relationship, a deep connection. And that's what this life of Christ is all about, is seeing the good in each other, connecting with each other, being good friends, supporting one another, being that presence of love and life. I also saw a TED Talk recently with Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda. Now, there's an unlikely pair. We've got, someone from Hollywood royalty and a tough kid from Detroit who met on the set of 9 to 5 in 1980 and who are still friends to this day. And I don't know if you've seen some of their Grace and Frankie is a Netflix series. Yeah. So, and you can tell that they really have a love and appreciation for each other. And they talk about the fact that the thing about having a really dear friend is that you can be vulnerable with them. You can make mistakes. You can make your amends. You can say, what should I do? And help. And they can ask for help. And you can be truly authentic with each other. She said, I don't know she said, I was so afraid because when he died, I thought, oh, who else will love me just for who I am? And then she realized that he had given her that gift of loving her for just who she was, and that it was a presence in her forever, that it was part of her now, forever. So that essence of the Christ is with us forever now. He also said, I am with you now until the end of the age. So he didn't leave that presence, that love. He didn't leave it away. He didn't go away. He left it. It's here. It's right here where we are. That essence of goodness, that essence of the Christ is right where we are as the presence of love. And that love heals us. It allows us to extend our lives, allows us to be the presence of goodness. And to realize that we do not need to fear, that we can let go of fear, the fear of not being able to be our authentic selves, to be just who we are, just who we came here to be. And to not fear death, to realize there is something more. Absolutely, there's a presence, there's something else that happens. I don't know exactly what that is, but I know that it's there. I know that there is something else. Because when Christ came back, it was like, hello, don't be afraid of this because it's not real. So, what do we do? What is this? The title of this talk is The Science of Christ. What does it mean? It doesn't mean we have to walk on water. It doesn't mean we have to raise the dead. But it does mean that we have to listen for what is ours to do and do it. Listen for what is ours to do and do it. I saw a wonderful young man on a site called Our Better World. And he's a 16-year-old Syrian refugee. And he talked about walking down the street with some friends in a Syrian city, didn't say which one. He was walking down the street, and all of a sudden they dropped these bombs. And he woke up in the hospital, and the doctor said, you're going to be okay. And he asked about his friend, and he said, I'm sorry, your friend is dead. He said for that next year, he did not smile. He could not laugh. He was so sad. And now he's ended up as a refugee in Malaysia. But he got into a class given by the United Nations High Commissioner on Refugees, the UNHCR, they're giving classes to these refugees in how to start a business and how to, get along in the new country, how to speak the language. So he learned to speak English, and he learned to speak one of the Malaysian dialects. And he was so inspired by what he learned that now he's teaching other kids. So he's 16 years old, and he's in there teaching like 7 and 8-year-olds how to speak English and how to do stuff. And he is so happy. He's so joyful because he's giving his gift. He said, I always liked to teach, even from being a little kid, but I had to drop out of school when my father was in the hospital because I had to help support the family. And so now he gets to do what he's meant to do, which is teach. We know what we're meant to do, but we have fears about, am I too old? Am I too young? Am I too fat? Am I too skinny? Am I too not men, not women? Whatever it is, we've always got our butts in the way. But. So we have to get that out of the way. We have to realize that we have that power and presence. We are able to do what we're supposed to do. And we can be a presence for peace and love on the planet. That's what we're meant to be. Listen to your intuition. Follow your guidance. Focus on the present with a joyful expectancy of the future. Help one another. Be grateful for life itself. Give thanks for your health, your home, your sustenance, your friends, especially if one of those is lacking. Because giving thanks for it in advance is what Jesus always did before he prayed. He gave thanks knowing that it was coming into being. And so we give thanks knowing that whatever it is, if it's not here right now, it is on its way. So we're living in joyful expectancy of that. So the first week of this month we talked about trust. The second week we talked about joy. This week, it's all about love. It's all about love. Just like the songs that we were singing. So let's do our affirmation. Good. I open to the presence of the energy of Christ within me. I open to the presence of the energy of Christ within me. I open to the presence of the energy of Christ within me. And so it is.